accused owned a liquor distillery, what would it be called? Whiskey business. Well, now that I got that corny joke out of the way, today I'm going to talk to you about something that everyone is familiar with, yet they don't know much about. Alcohol and the distilling business. Now, I know what you're thinking. An 18-year-old talking about alcohol? Well, I worked at a distillery for 4 months now, and I hope to one day own my own distillery. My interest peaked when I learned that my great-grandfather was a moonshine bootlegger. Today, we are going to discuss the history of distilleries, the types of distilleries, and we're going to talk about the process of distillation. First, let's go to the past and talk about the history of distilleries. A distillery is where alcohol or spirits are manufactured. History Channel's episode of Modern Marvels about distilleries believes that distilled spirits have been around since 1000 BC. Italian monks began distilling spirits from wine, and soon the technology spread all throughout Europe. Amy Hopkins, a writer for The Spirits Business, wrote an article that says that licensed distilleries can date all the way back to the early 1600s. The oldest whiskey distillery is Old Bushmills Distillery in Northern Ireland, and it's still in business today with the date 1608 printed on their bottles. Flash forward to 1920s America when the Prohibition hit. Many distilleries found themselves in a predicament. An article written by the Modern Museum's website said that distilleries, breweries, and vineyards were forced to find alternatives for their businesses. Still, distilleries had the hardest time converting their operations. However, 6 distilleries managed to stay open by obtaining a medicinal license. The government quickly saw that the ban of alcohol failed, and it cost the federal government over $500 million in excise taxes. Today, the sale of legal alcohol spirits tops more than $45 billion. Now that we know some of the history of distilleries, let's talk about the numerous types of distilleries. An article by BoozeWorks explains that there are 2 different types of distilleries with many different hybrids in between. The most popular type is the bar distillery. The bar distillery is a distillery where spirits are manufactured right out of the distillery for retail purposes. Many of these distilleries sell their products in glass forms of cocktails or straight spirits. The second type of distillery is the distribution distillery. Distribution distilleries manufacture products that are sold to distributors, and they are sold at wholesale price. Distribution distilleries generally cost more, and they take longer to obtain a profit than bar distilleries do. There are also different types of distilleries based upon the different type of alcohol that they produced. The different types of alcohol include rum from the Caribbean, tequila from Tequila, Mexico, vodka, which originated in Russia, brandy originated in France, gin from England, bourbon from Kentucky, and whiskey that originated in Scotland. Our final topic to discuss is a bit more sciencey. We're going to talk about the process of distilling alcohol. Although technology has taken over the alcohol industry, the science has never changed. Alcohol is a byproduct of mash. Mash Strickland wrote an article in the winter 2019-2020 edition of Distiller, Voice of Craft Distilling, called MASH, Chemistry 101. Strickland explains that mash is a mixture of a heavy starch grain and water with heat applied to it to create a fermentable sugar. When yeast is added to the mash, the yeast converts the grain sugars into ethanol alcohol. In the process of distilling, the mixture of yeast and mash is placed in a distillery and is heated. The vapors then rise into the neck of the still and are cooled into the coils, where they are then condensed and they form a colorless, odorless liquid that is a natural grain alcohol used to make a multitude of distilled spirits. Let's take a look at a video from the History Channel's Modern Marvel episode that it shows the process. So as you see, this is what a still looks like, and they're going to put the mash and the yeast mixture and the water into the bottom of the still, where it is then heated, and it will boil into a vapor that rises into the neck of the still. It is then cooled down through the coils, condensed into alcohol. Whoa. Now that is just the tip of the distilling iceberg. I hope today that you learned just enough to make you want to go out and learn more about distilleries on your own. Today, we talked about the history of distilleries, all the different types of distilleries, and the process of distillation. I plan on one day owning my own distillery, and I hope to see you there.